Then we have another mode, which is called ledger mode, where you deposit those tokens into the smart contract, and you can send some ADA value by just giving somebody the redeeming code. We call it the minting key. They can redeem the token at any point of time, and you can give it off-chain, so there is no transaction happening on-chain.
Vladimir joins me from Encoins, and this is a really interesting project because nothing like it exists on the Cardano blockchain, and I'm really excited to learn a lot more about it. I know very little about privacy chains and what these guys are building. Now, I've actually been supporting you guys since you were C Mixer, and then you had the rebrand and everything. I delegated to the stake pool and everything, so I'm pretty excited about the project. I just want to understand a little bit more. But Vladimir, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me.
So I'd love to know a little bit about your background and how you got into the Cardano space and how you came up with this idea.
Yeah, so I'm a researcher in applied mathematics. Before I joined the crypto industry, so I was doing research in control theory. And 2 years ago, I decided to leave academia and to build something on the blockchain. And so I decided that a privacy solution would be a good entry point for me, because you can build a useful tool with a really small team. So I've been building this solution for almost 2 years now, and we are very close to the mainnet launch right now.
Very exciting. Now, now for those that don't know, can you talk about what exactly you guys are building and why you are building it?
So our project is called Encoins, and it is a privacy solution based on NFTs on Cardano. As you know, on Cardano, we have native assets, which sit in your wallet, or they can be locked in a smart contract. So the idea is you deposit a certain amount of ADA into the smart contract, and in the same transaction, you mint several NFTs. And you decide how do you like to split the value that you deposited between those NFTs. At any point of time, you can burn any single token and redeem its value from the protocol. So you can imagine that you can trade those tokens, you can gift, transfer, or maybe even use them in some NFT protocols. That's how you can achieve privacy in terms of the amount of ADA that you have, or that other people you interact with have. Because when you mint, let's say, 1000 ADA, and then you send a token, it could represent anything between 0 and 1000 ADA. After you send it to someone, it's not clear how much do you have still, and how much does other person have.
So the NFT has a hidden value of ADA to it, and whoever redeems it gets that locked amount in the smart contract that NFT represents. Okay, it's a really interesting mechanism and a really good use case for NFTs. Now, the thing here is when you mint the NFT or interact with the smart contract to mint it, wouldn't that transaction there see that amount of ADA that is being presented to that smart contract to mint that NFT and lock it into the contract?
The total amount of ADA that you deposit is visible, but because you mint several NFTs in a single transaction, it's not visible how much each of them costs.
Okay. So it's trying to hide the amount of value of each one of those NFTs, because all those NFTs just come back to you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find how deep the level of privacy can it go, because we still got that initial point where users are submitting to the protocol, so there is some sort of value that someone could track to try and work out how much ADA is going into the protocol.
Yes, but when, let's say, if you transact using Encoins, the more you transact, the more privacy you will have in terms of how much ADA you have, let's say. And then we have, this is what we call wallet mode, and then we have another mode, which is called ledger mode, where you deposit those tokens and coins into the smart contract, and you can send some ADA value by just giving somebody the redeeming code. We call it the minting key. So they can redeem the token at any point of time, and you can give it off chain. So there is no transaction happening on chain. But you could imagine if you give somebody a code, you still have it. So it's like both people control the same coin. So the recipient would want to burn the coin and mint a new one in its place. But this could be done with the help of our relayers. So the recipient does not need to interact with the coin itself.
There's a lot to the protocol and different mechanisms and workflows on how users interact with it. So let me just get this right. So the minter, the original minter, can create the NFT and have a redeemer code that can be a physical code that they can pass to someone else. That's kind of good to pass to like my partner or something like that, where they can go the protocol and if I pass away or something, they can redeem it from there. So that's a nice little use case there. But then like if I'm transacting with someone, they would then redeem that straight away. And then you said something about a relayer as well. There's how does that get involved in the process, and how relayers in the ecosystem?
The idea is that if you use this second mode, the ledger mode, then you don't need to interact with the blockchain yourself, because the tokens in this mode, they are all held at the Bluetooth script, so in the smart contract, right? So people can just send requests to relayers to redeem some of the tokens that they know, and they can mint new tokens, let's say, or they can just redeem and get the ADA value back. Yeah, so if they mint new tokens, then they do not reveal their wallet in the process, right? So because the relayer signs the transaction, and new tokens are created in the place of old tokens. And the relayers pay the network fees and get some fees for their work from the token themselves. So let's say you have a 100 ADA token. If you burn it and mint another one, let's say 96 ADA token, and then the relayer will get for 2 ADA and then another 2 ADA to the treasury, and then pay the network fees from this.
Okay, so a little bit of a small fee to pay to be able to use that the ledger kind of version of the experience. It's really interesting how that works, and I can see the opportunity there for people to be a relayer on the network and potentially process those transactions. Now, I just want to step back one. So I've got two questions: one about how to be a relayer, how that relayer network works, but then the signing of the transaction. So me as a user going to redeem via a relayer, do I need to sign a transaction to the relayer to get something done as well? So I'm just trying to look through the process of where I do and do not interact with the chain.
Okay, let me answer the second question. First, you do not need to sign the transaction, but you send the relayer the zero-knowledge proof that you actually know the value inside a particular coin. This is what allows the relayer to spend it and to burn it, because without this proof, they cannot touch your coins. So your coins are safe. Yeah, you only send the zero knowledge proof to the layers, and then they construct the transaction and sign it and submit. Answering the first question, so you can become a relayer. All our code is open source, so you can download the Relayer app and you can install it and run on your machine. The only restriction that we have is that if you want to get the protocol fees, so basically, if you want to be added to the list of relayers to which the users will connect, you will need to have a delegation of at least 100,000 ENCS. You do not need to have the full amount yourself. You have people delegated to you. Just the delegation transaction actually does not lock those coins. You just say that every coin that sits on this stake address will be delegated to a particular relay server. And the relayers, so initially we do not have currently the system to automatically pay the delegators, but this is something that we plan to develop in the future. So initially it will be the responsibility of the relayer to pay the delegators if they want to have delegators.
Little bit of work there for the relayers. It works pretty much similar to how the Cardano stake pools work at the moment. So if people are familiar with that, then it's a very similar setup. So I do like that because people in the Cardano ecosystem are very familiar with how all those things work. And what was it, 100,000 Encoins delegated to those relayers?
Yeah.
Minimum? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the technical aspects of being a relayer, is it much different to being a stake pool operator? Is there more to it? Do you expect more updates because it's a new protocol, etc.?
No, it's not much different from being a stake pool. As a stake pool, you just need to run minimally. You need to run just a Cardano node, but to be a relayer, you also need to run a Cardano wallet backend app, and also there is a chain index app called Kupo, and the relayer app itself. So 3 more apps, but all 3 of those are, I would say, quite lightweight. So if you run a stake pool, it's very, very likely that you will be able to run the relayer on the same machine, for example, if you want.
Interesting. Well, that pretty much opens up your entire relayer network to every stake pool operator out there that can. So it's a nice way of being able to get out there.
Yeah, and actually, we already have many requests from stake pool operators that want to participate and want to get some instructions on how to participate in our relayer network.
I want to understand a little bit more about the zero knowledge proof and how that mechanism works for interacting with the relayer. First off, I probably need to explain what the zero knowledge proof is, and then we can talk through that little step on how what that mechanism, what part of it, what it actually looks like to interact with the relayer.
So zero knowledge proof is a way to proving a statement without revealing any more information except the validity of the statement. So in the case of Encoins, the statement is that I mint and burn the coins. I know the minting key for each coin, and the sum of minted coins minus the sum of burned coins is equal to the value that I deposit into the protocol. So this is basically the statement. So so because you can mint and burn Encoins in a single transaction, So we need to make sure that the value that you deposit or withdraw from the protocol, that it is equal to the difference between the minted and burnt coins. So you just prove that you know all the coins and that this difference is correct. So this proof is just a list of long numbers that encode the proof of the statements. It's a cryptographic algorithm, and on the other end, the relayer they can check the validity of the proof by running another algorithm, like a verification algorithm. And if it returns true, then the statement is correct. So the user actually knows those coins, and the sum is calculated correctly. So we also have in version 1, we also have a verifier that is off-chain verifier. So it's people need to know that it is a trusted verifier for now, because currently Cardano does not support zero-knowledge proof on-chain verification. And so the relayers, they are trustless, you can say. They just pass the proof to the verifier. The verifier then signs it if it is correct. And with this signature, the relayer can construct the transactions.
Very cool. Now, thanks for that explanation. I understand it a little bit better now. Now, in terms of regulations, with privacy chains, there's Monero that has been like delisted off all major exchanges. There's this debacle, I think last year or the year before, with Tornado Cash as well. What is the regulation space like for Encoins, and what you guys are building?
I think our solution is in some way you can compare it to Monero, for example, or also what we plan to do in version 2 is kind of similar to the app called Railgun on Ethereum. Yeah, well, we actually receive listing proposals all the time. Most of them, of course, are scams, but seems like there is some legitimate interest from centralized exchanges as well. We do not plan to have listed at this point. I think this is something that we can consider in the future. But for now, our goal is to build liquidity on just DEXs like MinSwap and Wi-Fi and others as well. So yeah, we will be, for now, we will be satisfied with just having enough liquidity on main DEXs.
Okay, so there isn't too much of a regulation issue in terms of using the protocol itself. Like, could I get into trouble from US regulators for using a privacy chain?
So I think in the US, in particular, only Tornado Cash is banned currently, and every other solution, I think you can use it. Our solution, as it is not online yet, we haven't heard anything on that front.
It's a tricky space to navigate with this the regulations, not only for privacy chains, but for the whole crypto industry anyway. So it's a interesting one to watch, to say the least.
Yeah, of course.
Now, is there anything else really important that the community needs to know about Encoins?
Yeah, so currently we are undergoing our first audit. We do not have a set release date. We do not want to push our auditors to rush things. But I assume that the version 1 will be up on the mainnet pretty quite soon. And then we already have blueprints for version 2. And we applied with this for funding from the Project Catalyst. We have two proposals. One is on the front-end side of things, and another one to extend our protocol to enable more features. And we plan to implement all of this, at least if we get funded, in the next, I would say, 8 months. At least that's the goal. Version 2 will be, I guess, fully decentralized and fully trustless system what I originally envisioned in the white paper, you can read it. It basically describes what version 2 would look like.
All right, brilliant. I'll grab all those links to the Catalyst proposals. I'll put them in the show notes so everyone can have a look over them and consider voting for your project as well. And I'll put the links to the white paper so people can dig into it more and understand everything about the protocol and everything that you're building with Encoins.
Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.